as people trickle in, we'll be starting off with some normal spinal cord opening movements, and then we'll do a sequence that's really good at opening the shoulders. If you have any shoulder issues or it's just been bothering you or anything, you can always modify. So if we do things, the shoulder is the joint with the most mobility, and so also very vulnerable. So if there's any issues with your shoulders, you don't have to make the movements as big. You can do if we do, we'll be doing some that involve windmilling your arms. You can always just practice moving the shoulder back and forth um at a smaller movement of that. Good morning, everyone. Yay, the whole team is here. So we'll start off with a little abdominal breathing, excuse me, and let's have one on hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. And there's a the meditation in qigong in Chinese medicine called inner smile, and I love it because it sort of allows us to look a little silly, which I think is always good, because you're literally smiling, but you're smiling to yourself. But it also is a reminder that we have such influence on what's happening internally, even from expressions that we make on our face. We have a lot of musculature in the face, and even the act of smiling actually sends communication substances through the body that has a positive effect on our nervous system. So just for the next minute or two as we go through, of course this one's going to start playing with the squeakiest toys imaginable that she does not like unless we're playing qigong. So I might have to pause myself and remove said objects from the room, but for now we're just going to one hand on the abdomen, one hand on the chest. Close your eyes and first just take a few nice, slow, deep breaths. Just feel the energy of your heart center under that top hand, the rise and fall of your belly as you inhale and exhale with your bottom hand. Just let your shoulders drop down. And then let a smile come across your face. Doesn't have to be a big, huge grin, but a smile. And then on the exhale, just imagine that you're sending that smile down into your heart center. So on the exhale, you can loosen the muscle of the face so it sort of relaxes. On the inhale, smile a little bit. And on the exhale, just let that smile melt down. Imagine you're melting it down into the heart center. Just with that small intention, your body will respond. Most certainly. And then let's open our eyes. So we'll go into a version of knocking on the door of life called bear walking, which just means a little bit of a weight shift. But first, since we'll do a sequence to really open the shoulders, sneak your right hand up your back. So as far as it can go. If it's only down here because you have really tight shoulders or you have shoulder pain, that's totally fine. If you have some more mobility in your shoulders, sneak that hand up, as far as you can comfortably. You don't want to strain anything, but you want to feel a nice stretch through the front of the shoulder. I'm doing your mirror, so it's your right shoulder. And then take your left arm so it's perpendicular to the ground, so your fingers are facing up, more or less right in front of your shoulder. And keep a nice slight bend in your knees. Take a nice inhale. We have a nice group today. Yay. Take a nice inhale, and then slowly we're going to rotate from your waist, from the center, all the way over to the right. So your arm comes across the body, and then gently press your right hand to the back of the room, and you're looking over your right shoulder. And then very slowly, let's unwind. So on the inhale, come back to the center. And now we'll rotate over to the left. So you're now opening up the front of your left shoulder as you bring your arm all the way back and look over your left shoulder now. So you should feel a nice opening through the front of your shoulder as we move over to the left. And then exhale again over to the right, pushing that hand gently towards the back of the room. And then inhale back to the center. So nice and slow, we're just going to rotate back and forth. You'll feel a nice stretch through the front of the the left shoulder here and the right. And then exhale over to the right. Let's do that one more time. So inhale to the center, exhale over to the left. And then inhale to the center, exhale over to the right. Let's do it one more time, actually. Just a little bit more. Just making sure that we're getting a nice stretch through the front of the shoulder and the back of the shoulder. Now unwind, drop the arms down for a bit. Just close your eyes and just see if you notice the difference between the right and left shoulder now that we've started to open and stretch all the meridian lines, all of the fascia, the tissue, the connective tissue that runs through the front and the back of the shoulder. And now let's take our left hand again. What did we just do? Okay, yes. So your left hand, sneak it up the back, and then your right arm now will become perpendicular to the ground here. Take a nice inhale, and then exhale, rotating over to the left. That right arm comes across, pressing to the back of the room, and then inhale back to the center, and now we'll open up to the right. So the front of your right shoulder should feel a nice stretch and opening. Back to the center, over to the left. Again, only go as far as feels comfortable for you. Any tightness in the shoulder, restriction, it's good to get into these stretches that challenge and allow us to start lengthening. But if there's an injury or it feels there's any pain or pinching, that's an indication that you want to back off. So we're just going to also pay attention to how we're feeling when we're moving through these exercises and honoring where we are so that you're making the practice your own. Let's do that one more time to each side. And then come back to the center, drop the arms down. So now the shoulders we're starting to open them. Let's go into bear walking. So it looks like knocking on the door of life. So turning from the hips and the waist, knocking across your lower abdomen and your lower back. But then there's a little bit of a weight shift. And just notice the slight variation starts to open up the hips. So we're still knocking across the lower abdomen, the door of life in the back, keeping the shoulders nice and relaxed. Just transferring the weight from the right foot to the left foot. Starting to mobilize our energy, mobilize the chi. Starting to increase circulation, generate a little bit of heat. All this preparatory work. Come up to the shoulders or the space right below the collarbone. And then let's come to the very top of the shoulders. And then come back down. And then back down to the waist. And then let's start to unwind. Okay. Now let's do a little clearing. So arms are stretched out to the sides. This is our inhale. And then we're just going to take a nice sharp exhale as the arms come down. Inhale. And then exhale. So we're going to add in here a little rotation. So as we exhale, you're going to turn to your right. So the left arm comes in front, the right arm in back. And then inhale to the center. Exhale over to the left. Inhale to the center. So we start to pick up a little momentum here by bouncing the knees. As you exhale, really allow the arms to swing down so that you feel a release, a little stretch between the shoulder blades, and then maybe exhale through the mouth as a way of accentuating the clearing of old energy, of stale energy, of stress, tightness in the body. This is also opening the shoulders, the whole shoulder girdle. And let's start to slow down. So we're building a little bit of heat through the shoulders, and we are going to, let's open up our feet a little wider now. And you're going to turn so your right foot is facing the right side of the room, and then bend into that knee. Just make sure, look down, make sure that your knee is not going past your toes. Your back leg, I have these really wide pants on. The back leg is straight, front leg is bent, and then you can either keep your hand on that knee or bring your elbow down to the right knee. You want to see if you can create this. It's basically an angle. And then we're going to allow your left arm to dangle down. So play with, relax in the shoulder, shake it out a little bit. And then what we're going to do on the inhale is that you're going to stretch the arm forward, allow it to come up towards the ceiling, and then stretch the arm over to the left side of the room and then back down. So we're going to start windmilling the arm if this feels good for you, inhaling up and exhaling down. So we're getting some movement through the whole shoulder girdle here, and we're moving slowly. So again, always moving on the breath. Inhale, coming up, and then exhale, coming down. And see if you can release tension as we do this, even as we're moving and we're engaging muscles to bring our arm forward, up and over, that we're moving with a little bit of relaxation here. So see if you can breathe into your shoulder. Just allow that space to open up. And as you bring your arm up, the rib cage will rotate slightly to the front of the room. So you're getting a little rotation here too. If you want to keep your hand so you're a little more upright, that's totally fine. But again, relaxing the shoulder as the arm comes up and over. These major joints, actually all of the joints, it's really important to move them in all of the directions that they're supposed to be able to move in. And that will help maintain the integrity, the health, because you're moving fluid through the joints. It's like a hinge. The door is not opening and shutting. That hinge can get rusty and then doesn't really work very well. And then let's drop the arm down. Let's come to the center and fold forward just for a minute. Just feeling the opening of the low back, the hamstrings, all the meridians in the back of the body, primarily the bladder channel, but a little of the kidney channel. And then we'll slowly roll up. And now let's turn so the left foot is facing the left side of the room. Bend into that left knee. That right leg should be relative. If there's a slight bend, that's totally fine. But you're sort of evenly distributing the weight between each foot. And now transfer the weight so that's more towards that bent knee and either your elbow on your left leg or your hand. And then let your right arm dangle down. Shake it out. And then inhale, we're going to stretch the arm forward over to the left side, all the way up towards the ceiling, over to the right, and then back down. So slow inhale, opening the chest, the front of the shoulder, and then relaxing it back down. Just these real lovely, gentle circles, helping to open the shoulder, to move circulation through it. And we're also strengthening the legs, right? So the thighs might start getting a little warm, a little burny. That's okay. We're learning to move easefully, peacefully, even when there are these micro challenges. How do we maintain fluidity and not start contracting? One more. And then let's come back to the center once more. Just fold forward. Let your head be nice and relaxed. And then we'll slowly roll all the way up. You can grab one wrist with your opposite hand. Let's do one nice big stretch up towards the sky. And then exhale the arms out and down. All right, let's bring our feet a little bit closer. Maybe an inch or two further out than outer hip distance apart. This one's another great stretch for the shoulder. It's a little bit more moving also. And you're going to take your left hand and you're imagine you're scooping up to the side of the room or the corner of the room. And then bring that hand towards that shoulder. And then you're going to turn and look over your right shoulder as you bring that hand down the side of your body. So the fingers end up reaching towards the floor. Turn back over. So you're looking at your hand as you're scooping up, and then turn the body and the head as this hand travels down the side of your left body, and then fingers towards the floor. So you should feel a stretch through the shoulder here. We inhale. And then when you're turning and looking over, like really see if you can stretch that line of tension. So looking way over that right shoulder. So you get a little stretch through the neck as well. And inhale and exhale. So you're stretching over to the right while your arm and fingers are reaching down towards the floor in this diagonal. Inhale and exhale. Scooping up, turning and rotating over to the right as the arm travels down towards the floor. And let's do one more to this side. Now, this time as we exhale and turn over to the right, let's just stay here for a few rounds of breath here. So stretching those fingers of the left hand down towards the earth while you're really stretching and reaching, looking over your right shoulder. And then release. This arm might feel a little longer now. So now we'll take our right arm, we scoop up, and then as that hand pours down the right side of the body, we turn and look over the left shoulder. Scoop up, inhale. And exhale. We're just stretching these lines of tension. So think about elongating these muscles, creating length and space. Let's do one more. And again, as this arm starts to descend, we're turning and looking over, and then we'll stay in this rotation here for a few rounds of breath, really allowing the head to be turning over the right shoulders to get that stretch through the neck, the top of the shoulder. And then come back to the center. All right, so those shoulders should be nice and loose and open, and let's do a little shaking before we go into our flows. Maybe using a little healing sound. Getting a little bounce through the knees, so you're creating a little pumping action. And let's bring the arms up about shoulder height, releasing the wrists. Maybe turn so the wrists are facing down. And then maybe bringing the hands overhead as we're shaking. And then let's bring the hands back down. One last time. And then start to slow down. Okay. So our first flow, we are going into flying. And then we'll go into a variation of flying that involves a staggered stance and then moving the arms in a slightly different direction. But we'll start feet outer hip distance apart, arms nice and relaxed, slight bend in the knees, and then inhale, the arms float up out to the sides, and then exhale back down. So see if you can keep some relaxation and fluidity through the arms. So as the arms raise, it's like your arm, we're like a little Raggedy Ann doll. And imagine that someone just has little strings that are attached to your arms and they float up and then they relax and float back down. There's basically a wave that happens as the arms float up and float back down. So as we inhale, that wave moves through the arms and the wrists are nice and relaxed. So the fingers come up last, then the elbows drop down as the arms float back down. So keeping the body nice and relaxed. We're just inhaling, allowing the arms to float up, and then they float back down. Just feeling the, the lightness of the body, of how you're feeling inside, of the emotions, of the space between the thoughts. Just up and down. Feeling the heart space open on the inhale and then relax back down. Bird flying. So the image of a bird soaring through the sky with grace and ease and softness, but also with a lot of power. Okay, let's bring our hands down for a moment. So we'll add on to our variation here. Let's step forward with your left foot so that your feet are staggered, and keep both knees slightly bent. Now we're going to inhale, the arms will float up towards the front of the room, and then exhale back down. So the same type of wave that we were just talking about through the arms out to the sides, we're going to float up and then exhale back down. Now as we inhale, there's a little bit of a weight shift to the front foot as we inhale, and then a slight weight shift to the back as we exhale. It doesn't have to be big. There's a subtle transfer of weight up and down. And again, can we maintain that same level of relaxation through the body, through the arms, the wrist, the fingers, as we're moving forward and back. So now we'll go into another variation. So this time, as we transfer the weight forward, your left arm will come up front, your right arm will come out to the side. So your arms are sort of at almost like a right angle to each other, and then back down. Same thing. We're going to inhale the left arm forward, right arm to the side, and then back down. Again, a little weight shift forward as the arms float up. This is really good for the brain. It's good for the body. It's good for our breath, our nervous system, and moving the body in different directions at the same time is exceptionally good for all of those neurons in the brain. So now, once we have the movement down, can we then relax into it? Inhaling and exhaling. Now let's bring the arms down. Now this time, we're just going to rotate slightly to the left. And this time, the right arm comes forward. The left arm comes out to the left. So again, a little bit of maybe a little less than right angle. Maybe like slightly acute. So inhale and exhale. Same thing, just transferring the weight. We're just slightly turned towards the left. Right arm in front, left arm out to the side. And exhale. And now let's come everything back to the center. And then let's step back with that front foot so that we're back to our center. Let's hold our chi ball just for a moment. Just feeling that lightness, that peace, tranquility flooding and flowing through the body. And now let's step forward with your right foot. So again, we're staggered, but now the opposite foot is in front. A little bend in both knees. Let's make sure the arms are nice and relaxed. And we'll start first just at the center. So inhaling the arms up and then exhale the arms down. Slight weight shift forward and then back. Now the next time we inhale, let's inhale the right arm forward, left arm out to the left, and then exhale back down. Inhale and exhale. Nice and easeful. They just float up like big wings. Rising up, floating down. Letting that energy move from the center out through the arms into the fingertips and then back down. Now this time, turn slightly to your right. So now the left arm comes forward, frontward, and right arm out to the side, and then back down. Still slightly shifting the weight forward on the inhale, and then back towards the back foot on the exhale. Very subtle. Just feeling on the inhale that energy, the chi you're drawing in is just flowing through the body, nourishing all of those tendons and ligaments and all the cells of the body. Just creating this really lovely fluid movement. Keep a softness through the fingertips. And then we'll come back to the center, still in the staggered stance, but just both arms now float up to the center and then back down. And then let's step back with that front foot, come back to the center, and let's just do a few of our original flying movements out to the sides. Inhale and exhale. And then let's bring our palms towards one another in our chi ball. And now we'll take all of that energy we just cultivated and moving it through the center of the body, imagining that we're moving this golden light up the back of the spine into the brain, and then from the brain down the center of the body back down. So let's take our chi ball and first drop it down slightly. So we're imagining that you're moving this ball of energy down into the pelvic floor, the base of the pelvis. And then bring your hands just slightly towards the sides of your body. And as we inhale, just imagine that you're drawing that chi ball up the back of the spine, the back of the heart space, back of the neck, all the way up into the brain. And then forward, right in the third eye, the pineal gland that sits right the center of the brain behind the eyes. And then down past the front of the esophagus, down the sternum, down the center of the body, back down to the pelvic floor. So we're inhaling, drawing that energy ball up the back of the spine, coming all the way up to the brain and then down the front. We're just turning. It's called turning the wheel. If you know what a grist mill is, it's taking this water. Water tends to sink down. That's why the kidney, the bladder, the water energy is more concentrated in the lower parts of the body. We're taking that water and we're generating some heat and moving it up the back of the spine and then down the front, nourishing all of the organs, creating this lovely dynamic flow of movement where water's circulating. Soothing the nervous system, soothing the spinal cord. There are two main channels that we're working with here. There's a channel that runs up the center of the back of the body, the dew meridian, the governing channel. And then the Ren channel that runs the center, the front of the body, the conception vessel. Somewhat correlated to that first cellular division of each one of us in embryo, as an embryo. That first line that creates more energy. And now let's just let the hands come all the way back down, right in front of the lower abdomen. Just feeling that space between your palms. And let's bring the feet together. And then fingers pointing towards one another. And we'll finish this session with centering. So we're going to inhale the right arm out to the side, to the right, come all the way up, right above the center of the head, and then exhale back down. And then inhale the left arm out to the left, come all the way up, down the center. And again, just bringing all of that work you just did, cultivated, it's bringing it right into the center of the body and then storing it in the lower dantian, the area just below the belly button and inside a few inches. And then let's all meet, one hand below the belly button, the other hand on top. Make a couple of circles here. And then let's pause and breathe. Maybe feeling a little lighter, a little calmer, a little more relaxed, maybe a little less in pain, and more centered.